He is very competitive and quite hilarious. But I have learned a great many deep lessons from him. Please welcome up Mr. Raymond Burns.
I'm not sure if I'm competitive, but okay. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good morning. So, last time for our sermon, Jerry Servito talked, and he talked about joy and loving and being able to, once we feel joy and love in our lives, to share with others and to be able to share our love and joy with others. Today what I'm going to be talking about is what happens when we don't feel joy, or what happens when we don't feel love. How do we keep going? How do we move on? And that's what I'm going to be talking about. But before that, I just want to share some exciting news with you guys if you did not know. At the beginning of this month, I was matched to a girl in Maryland. Her name is FFWPUNJ. Anyway, that's been very exciting for me, and I'm very happy. It's not going to be what I'm going to be talking about, but I would love to talk about her and be able to share how our matching process was and what's lovely about her. But I'm actually going to be talking about more of a sad part of my life. Actually, a time of my life that I regret the most. And I'm just going to be sharing about my life in that aspect, in a way how I have failed and how I've moved on from that. So I just want to give a little bit of story about who I am. Anyway, I'm 25. I'm the oldest of the Burns family. I'm the oldest sibling, and I feel most of my life I've always been an older brother figure to my siblings, but also to my community and towards the people around me. And that's what I love. I love being an older brother. I take care of Go, and I love being with your children and being with the community around them and trying to be a good influence and trying to be a good example. It's what I live for. And even when I did STF, and that's one of the major reasons I wanted to go. I wanted to learn a better way of being a good influence, a better way of being a good person for my community, for the people around me. And even now, I'm seeking to be a teacher. So hopefully I could inspire people and be able to inspire younger people to be good and to be a good example, and so that I could be a good example for them. And so that's a big part of me and a big part of my dream and what I really want. Another big part about me is I come from the Burns family, and I think many of you guys know my parents, my dad and my mom, and maybe not some of them, but they like really love each other. And especially if you know my dad's always saying, Mayoko this, Mayoko that, Mayoko did this, and then he's always saying Mayoko, Mayoko, Mayoko. I mean, he even got a license plate that says Mayoko. So growing up, anyway, I grew up with that kind of love and seeing that love constantly. It was something that I always wanted, and I was always looking forward to. Like, I always think about getting matched and getting blessed and being with a special somebody who I could share my life with and share my love with, and thinking what commitment is, what it means to have a real relationship. And I was looking forward to this, and I was thinking about this all my life. And in January of 2009, I actually got matched and blessed by a true father. And it's maybe something that many of you guys don't know, or maybe a lot of you guys have forgotten about. But I was matched and blessed by a true father in 2009, and I struggled with it from the beginning. But I had a divine experience from God that one day I will be able to feel how I'm feeling now all the time. And that felt like the kingdom of heaven. And I remember having that experience. And anyway, that motivated me for quite some time. But after a while, it was very challenging, and there was a lot of struggle. And I had a lot of talks with her. I talked with my parents and some older figures. But from that, I made the decision to break the blessing. And it was an extremely painful decision for many reasons. But one thing is, I love my community. I love being a good older brother. And I knew that I failed at that time. And I knew that I wasn't being a good influence. I knew that I wasn't showing how beautiful commitment is and what commitment means. And it pained me so much how I was affecting the people around me. And it was a very hard time in my life. And I remember, even though I made this decision, I told God, like, I promise, I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to stick with what I believe, and I'm going to keep going. And it was very difficult because I continued to go to church, but I remember just like feeling stares or like feeling that people were talking about me, and it just like hurt me so much. Like, I was always such a good kid. Like, I was such a good Mooney boy. I never drank, I never dated, I never smoked, I like barely ever cursed. Like, I was such a good kid. And now it just seemed like I was like so bad. I was like the scum of the earth, and I just felt like people were staring at me and hurt. And I just remember some experiences where I was serving with my Go community, and one day I went to volunteer as I usually did, and one of the staff came up to me and they were like, you know, Raymond, how are you doing? And I was like, you know, it's hard, but I'm doing okay. And it's like, well, you know, like we have to check up on you because you're taking care of these kids, you know. And we can't have you be saying like bad things or being a bad influence to them. And it hurt me so bad. Like, this is my love. This is my passion. And to know that like I couldn't be trusted hurt me so bad. And I remember another time when I was playing frisbee with some of my friends and some younger VCs. And afterwards we were going to hang out at my house and just have fun. And one of the kids like said to me like, "Oh, my parents said I'm not allowed to hang out with you anymore." And it was just like, you know, like hearing that was just like killed me. Like it's my dream to be a good older brother. It's my dream to be able to be a good influence. And like I couldn't do that. I couldn't be that. And even like when I told my brother was getting math at the time. And I told my brother, like, you know, I'm sorry I can't pave this path for you. I'm sorry I can't show you that example. And I'm sorry that you're going to be the one that have to show the example for the siblings and for like our community. And I remember like he was crying because he just like never saw me like this, and it was like that. And I never saw my brother cry. Like, only like when he was like very little, like when I was like beating him up. But like since he was older, I never saw him cry. It was just like so like miserable, like the judgment and the misery that I was feeling. But like worse than that was like myself, you know, feeling myself, knowing that like I broke a commitment, knowing that I went against something I completely believed in, and knowing something I was working my whole life towards, and having it all fall apart. And it just like killed me inside. I felt like I never deserved to ever try again, or like I no longer have the right to ever make a commitment, or to ever like share my vows. Like I no longer had that right. And I no longer had that right for somebody to be with somebody anymore. And that's how I felt. But worse than that, worse than myself, was at the beginning when I decided to break the blessing, was that my parents could not support me. They could not accept my decision. They told me that I was being irrational, that I was too emotional right now and that I needed to calm down and think about this. And they wouldn't allow me to break the blessing. They said, no, you're not going to do this. And I remember at that time, I remember my mind was going crazy because I didn't have my parents' support. I didn't have their acceptance. And I remember I felt like there was no meaning in my life. There was no purpose. If I did something good, if I did something bad, it didn't matter because I didn't have my parents' support. And I remember just thinking what should I do now? I felt like just doing anything and it wouldn't matter. But luckily it didn't take long for my parents to say that they were sorry and that they were wrong. And they told me it wasn't that they agree with my decision, but they support me and that they love me. Even though they don't agree with what I'm doing, they're with me no matter what, and that it's my life and it's my responsibility. And I remember as soon as I felt that, the craziness I was feeling inside my head, just started to go down. I could start to feel a little bit at peace, and I could start to think about how I could be a son of God and continue living that path. And it was a great experience for me. And so anyway, it took me a long time to recover still, and I still feel like I am recovering. But yeah. But I learned some very priceless experiences from this kind of failure and this kind of regret that I feel. And I know not many of us have experienced what I've experienced with breaking the blessing or anything like that. But I know that a lot of us do hold regret, or a lot of us do hold failure, and we hold on to it. Whether it's with our spouses, or with our siblings, or with our children, or with our parents, or with our dreams. We hold on to these kind of fears or regrets. And what I learned from this experience more than anything was about God and what was about God's love. And it was through my parents. I felt that they loved me. No, they didn't agree with my decision. They didn't think what I was doing was right, but they were with me no matter what. They supported me no matter what. They loved me no matter what. And I realized that love, it didn't come from them. They weren't the source of that. That love was from God. God had that love, and they inherited that from God. And I realized at that point the infinite love that God had, and that God has for all of us. And it was amazing. It was an amazing feeling to realize that. I know through that experience that I hurt God, that He didn't want me to do this. He gave me this beautiful experience of showing me love, of being with me, of showing me the future. And I wasn't able to do it, but He still loved me and He supported me, and I felt that. And I remember when I got matched, and when I was there, God did not say all right, Raymond, remember your promise this time, or remember your commitment. He didn't say that, or He didn't hold anything against me. All I felt was Raymond, I'm happy for you, and that was it. And I feel like that's such a that infinite love that God has is so special, and I just hope that that's something that we can all feel, because I know when I was going through this time when it was really hard, I could not forgive myself. I thought I was not worthy of ever being able to make a promise again, or commit again, or to be with someone again. But with God's infinite love, God does not want that for me. He wants me to continue. He wants me to keep moving on. He keeps wanting for me to be me no matter what has happened. And so I just want to encourage everybody, if you're holding on to something, or if you know somebody that receive that infinite love and to believe it, or if not, to be able to give that love to somebody that really needs it. And even if they don't deserve it, give that godly love that they need to feel. And I want to end with a quote that I really love. It says, regret doesn't remind us that we did badly. It reminds us that we know we could do better. And I want you guys to know about that. When we feel regret, when we feel bad, it's not because we shouldn't be thinking about how bad it is. We know we could do better. We know that we could do more. And I want all of us to start moving forward and just seeing how we can do better and showing ourselves and showing everybody how we can do more. Thank you.